Here we have a brand new in-the-box Sony Handycam DCR-SX45E camcorder. This is the PAL version, but in terms of its features and functionality, it is identical to the American NTSC version. Sony also sells the DCR-SX65 and SX85. The 45, 65, and 85 are all identical except for the amount of built-in memory. The 45 has none, so you have to use an SD card or memory stick, while the SX65 has 4 gigs of built-in memory and the SX85 has 16 gigs of built-in memory. Sony was also notable for being the only one of the 5 major camcorder manufacturers, Sony, Canon, Panasonic, JVC, and Samsung, to add several new and important features to their standard definition camcorders for 2011. Now, so far, none of the major manufacturers have introduced any new standard definition camcorders for 2012. They'll just be carrying over their older models for the foreseeable future. Right here you can see some of the new features Sony added for 2011. They increased the size of the LCD from 2.7 to 3 inches, and it actually does make a difference because I had a previous model Sony with the 2.7 inch touchscreen display, and the touchscreen controls are really just too tiny even for my relatively small fingers. So it does make a noticeable improvement to enlarge it to 3 inches. They also added a built-in USB cable, and you can also charge it through the USB. So if you forget your AC adapter or just don't want to use it, you can just plug it into your computer and it'll recharge the camera's battery through the USB. It'll take longer than using the AC adapter, but it will recharge. Sony also added support for SDXC cards up to 64 gigabytes, and it also supports their proprietary memory stick format, including Memory Stick Pro Duo. It also features a Carl Zeiss Vario Tessar lens. Here are some more of the features. They increased the extended optical zoom from 60 times to 70 times, and they added active steady shot to give a more steady image when you're walking or riding in a car or anything like that. It also has face detection, intelligent auto, which I never use anyway. One neat thing is that you can copy your videos directly from the camcorder to an external hard drive without needing to use a computer in between. You can also burn your videos directly to a DVD writer without needing a computer for that either. See here they mentioned charging with built-in USB cable, and it comes with Sony's Picture Motion Browser software. For PCs, for Mac, Sony just tells you to use iMovie. They don't include any software for Macintosh. A bunch of stickers covering things up on this side, but you can still see Dolby Digital Stereo Creator, works with iMovie, we would say under there. 14 hours battery life with the optional battery that they don't include. And this is the silver color. On the bottom of the box it mentions the minimum requirements. Obviously, standard definition video doesn't need nearly as powerful of a computer as high definition. They say you only need a 1 GHz Pentium 3. And for a Macintosh, Sony recommends anything with an Intel processor and Macintosh OS 10.5 or later. Now, in order to edit the MPEG-2 videos created by this camcorder, you need iMovie 08 or higher. iMovie 06 and earlier do not natively support the format used by this camcorder. They also say when using an SD card, Class 2 or faster is recommended, but I don't think they even make anything less than a Class 2 anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. And here's just a quick list of the included accessories, which we'll get to in a moment. So here's the unboxing. Bunch of documentation on the top here. See what we get. Accessory brochure with a bunch of different languages because this is the PAL version, so it's international. Little pamphlet about the USB cable in different languages again. There's the software with the Picture Motion Browser and the Handycam Handbook, which is more in-depth user's guide than the manual they give you. Here's the manual in English, the manual in what looks like Chinese, and a couple other languages, which is actually printed the other way. You can see it opens this way. Oh, this is what, Arabic. That's interesting. And then we get into the actual camcorder here. Here's the AC adapter. Of course, like pretty much all AC adapters these days, it's universal voltage, anywhere from 100 to 240 volts, 50 or 60 hertz. And they include the European standard power cord, because this is the PAL version after all. But I do happen to have an adapter for that. They give you an extension cable for the USB. And here's the battery. Let's see what model it is. FV30, 7.2 volts, 3.6 watt hours, 500 milliamp hours, so kind of low capacity. And over here is your AV cable. You can also get an S-video version of this. And of course, the camcorder itself in the wrapping. And there it is in all its glory. One additional nice thing is that you get a built-in LED lights, unlike most of Sony's own HD camcorders and a lot of other HD camcorders which don't give you a built-in light. This one does, which I consider to be a very useful feature. And a couple more advertisement stickers on there which most people would take off. Big thing here advertising the 3-inch touch panel LCD. Your typical controls on top for the zooming, taking photos, and switching between modes. There's where the battery goes on. There's your recording button. More advertisements. There's your hand strap with the built-in USB cable, which I may not be able to... Oh, there it is. It's just enough to plug in your computer to charge it or transfer the videos, and then you can just slip it back into the hand strap when you're done using it, so it's pretty much out of the way when you don't need it. Behind this little door is the DC input for the power supply and also an AV output and remote control connection there. That supports the included composite AV cable, an optional S-video output cable, and also one of Sony's proprietary wired remote controls. You can get either a tripod with a remote control handle or a handheld remote control, both of which would include buttons for recording, start and stop, power on and off, photo button, and zooming in and out. Here they advertise the 2,000 times digital zoom, which of course you don't want to use anyway. And on the bottom you get a little tag here, DCR-SX45E, just says PAL. Doesn't say much more else there. Tripod mount and the slot for either an SD card or a memory stick card. And there it is with the battery installed. The battery did not come pre-charged, so I can't get it to turn on just yet until I charge up the battery. But you can see the controls in there. Power on off. There's your playback button, intelligent auto button, and the button to turn on the LED light. There's a little built-in speaker, the USB connection, in case you want to use a regular USB cable instead of the built-in one. And of course the 3-inch touchscreen LCD. Now that I've got the battery charged, you can see one other new feature they added for 2011, and that is an automatic lens cover. In addition to the automatic lens cover, Sony also added a 37mm lens thread, allowing you to add various screw-on lenses and filters. Such as this UV filter uses a 37mm thread. Like most standard definition camcorders, this one records MPEG-2 video in either 720 by 480 resolution at 29.97 frames per second for NTSC, or 720 by 576 resolution at 25 frames per second for PAL. You can do either 16 by 9 widescreen or 4 by 3 standard width video. You can also take still photos, although the resolution is not very good. You can only do 640 by 480 VGA resolution or 640 by 360 widescreen resolution. One nice thing is that unlike standard definition camcorders from Canon, Panasonic, and JVC, which record their files in an MOD extension, Sony uses standard MPG files which can be directly uploaded to YouTube without needing to use SD copy or other utilities to set the correct aspect ratio for widescreen video. And the video files it creates can be edited using iMovie 08 or higher on a Macintosh, or Windows Vista Ultimate or Premium Movie Maker, or Windows Live Movie Maker for Windows 7 and Windows Vista. In the XP version of Windows Movie Maker, it really depends on what kind of codecs you have installed on your computer, so it is not guaranteed whether or not your particular installation of Windows XP Movie Maker will be able to use the video files created by this camcorder. In the next video, I'll take a look at all the options in the menu system and provide some sample footage made using this camcorder.